Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am just a regular dude walking in the Word. We have concluded the Sermon on the Mount as we are going through the book of Matthew. Now, in the next two chapters of Matthew 7 and 8, we are going to be talking about 12 miracles that Jesus does in those two chapters. In the Sermon on the Mount, he gives a standard, and you look at that standard for us as Christians, it's like, how in the world can I live up to that standard? Well, in the next two chapters, you'll see from the evidence Jesus gives with his power that you can only do it through Jesus. And Jesus is the one that gives you that power to do that. So today I'm going to be reading from Matthew 8, verses 1 through 4. And this is called Don't Be Afraid to Touch. Don't be afraid to touch. Ouch. Woo. All right. So this is, let me read here. I have my Bible here if you have yours. It says this: when Jesus came from the mountainside, a large crowds followed him. Okay, coming from the mountainside, he had been up on the mountain given the Sermon on the Mount. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately he was cleansed of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you don't tell anyone, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them." All right, so this man had leprosy, all right? Leprosy was probably the worst disease at that time, and it was really incurable at that time period. You would, you might start out one day and you might see some bumps on you or some irritation, and you're like, I wonder what that is. And then you go maybe put some ointment on it or oils or something on it. And the next day, it's not any better. It's actually worse, and it's spread a little bit. And finally, like a week later, you're like, oh, this looks really bad. And then someone says, you need to go and have the priest look at that. The priest was the one who kind of said if it was leprosy or not leprosy. And then the priest would determine if it was leprosy. And so this particular man, he had obviously went to the priest at one time, and the priest said, you have leprosy. And the thing was, from that point on, you were not allowed to touch anybody. You weren't allowed, in fact, if someone came near you, you had to yell out, "Unclean, unclean," and stay away from them, okay? If someone came near you, you were supposed to run away from them, okay? You had to live outside the city. You couldn't live with your family at all, okay? And so you were kind of like stuck. Like, how can I make any money or stuff? You were relying on your family and friends to kind of give you food and stuff, and you were living outside the city. So it was really a sad thing when you got this disease. Like today, if you have COVID, you're quarantined for 14 days or while you're sick. However, if you have leprosy back then, you were quarantined forever, okay? Because it just wasn't cured unless you had a miracle happen, all right? And so this guy goes and he comes to Jesus, and he knows Jesus can heal him. And I want you to notice what he did here. He said, if you're willing. He didn't say, if you can do it. No, he said, if you're willing. He knew Jesus had the power to do that. And we should be like that today. Pray that prayer. Lord, if you're willing. I know the Lord can do anything, okay? So it's up to him and his will if he does it. So my prayer should be, Lord, if you're willing to do this, then please do this for me, okay? And a lot of times, my prayer is immediately answered by, like, Lord, if you're willing, please give me 2 Corvettes. Well, he's not willing to give me 2 Corvettes, so I know the answer to that already, okay? The second thing I want you to notice here is Jesus touched. When you were a leper, nobody touched you because that made them unclean, okay? So now I know you're asking yourself, oh no, Jesus was perfect, and if he touched the leper, then he was, that made him imperfect, okay? Wrong. Jesus touched him, and the moment he touched him, he was clean, okay? So he was essentially touching a clean man, all right? He wasn't touching a leprous man, he was touching a clean man because he had healed him that quick, All right, and it wasn't. You can see as we're reading here, it wasn't a progressive thing. Like, 2 weeks, go back to the priest, and he was like, go to the priest now and show him that the proof that you've been healed. Okay, so Jesus touched him. Okay, he wasn't afraid of the guy. He was going to touch him, and I think we need to keep that in mind today when we're praying for someone. And it's not my power that heals; it's only God's power that heals. But when we're praying for someone, we're ministering to someone, we need to be not afraid to touch those people. Okay, sometimes like, oh no, I don't want to touch them. I'll get dirty or whatever. Okay, but we need to touch them, and it's more than just putting your hand on that person. It's being involved with that person. What are you doing? A way that I could have touched someone in the past is there was a time there I had come from a job, and I was hot and sweaty, and I was tired, and I was hungry because this job took much longer than I anticipated. So as I'm finishing, I come into a Circle K. And I come into the Circle K there, and I'm like, I'm thirsty and I'm hungry, and so I'm going to get some food. As I come in there, I pass by a couple that's obviously homeless, okay? And so as I go in there and I get my food, and I'm like, what I should do is should get some food for them. So I got like some hamburgers and a bag of chips and drinks. Okay, so everything that I got for them. So I got multiples of 3. I got 3 hamburgers. I got 3 bags of chips and 3 drinks. Okay, and as I'm waiting in line there, the lady behind me goes, "Ooh, you must be hungry." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm real hungry." So as I went out, I went and I gave it to them, as I said, "Hey, here, I'm hungry, and I know you guys must be hungry, so here's some food." Okay. How I gave it to them, and then I drove off and went on my way. However, I made the mistake. I did not touch them. Okay. Now, me touching them, it wasn't like I didn't, put my hand on them, but I didn't sit down with them and eat with them. That was like looking back, I was like, what, how stupid was that? I should have not only given them the food, but then sat down with them. They were sitting down there right on the curb and eating the food. What's wrong with me sitting down with them and eating with them? Okay, and touching with them. So Jesus was more than just, the healing. He was also touching that person too, and that's what we need to be doing too. So my line to you today is this: don't be afraid to touch. All right? Lord's blessing to you. Thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue, working our way through Matthew. Lord's blessing to you.